right, so today we're going to look at the poem The Rose That Grew from the Concrete by Tupac Shakur. Did you hear about the rose that grew from the crack in the concrete? Proving nature's law is wrong. It learned to walk without having feet. Funny it seems, but by keeping its dreams, it learned to breathe fresh air. Long live the rose that grew from the concrete when no one else ever cared. So let's have a little bit of analysis of this poem. It's short and sweet, but it's chock full of things that good metaphors, personification, things we can really look at and help understand. So, in the beginning, he says, "Did you hear about the rose that grew from a crack in the concrete?" He's comparing himself to a rose, and this concrete is the harsh world of growing up poor. That is the crack in the concrete. So, think about this for a second. He's using the rose and the concrete as a metaphor. You could also say he's using personification to give the rose human characteristics. Now, the concrete is a metaphor again for the harsh, poor neighborhoods that he grew up in. And again, if we're applying this to anything, you'd be talking about anyone that's kind of not had the best environment. It doesn't matter if it's the concrete of an urban to being on a poor farm kind of town to trailer parks. I mean, the whole idea is the crack in the concrete is this kind of harsh way of growing up, this harsh place. So, proving nature's law wrong, it learned to walk without having feet. In other words, he's saying the rose himself, or again, applying it to anybody, they didn't have support, yet he was able to grow into something amazing. Okay? Even though the environment of no support was against him, Tupac, again the rose, grew up to be an amazing and successful person. It really wouldn't be until he was an adult that he would have a good relationship with his mother. When he was young, she was addicted to drugs, and Tupac had to kind of take care of himself. As the poem says, he had to learn to walk without having feet. So, in other words, he had to kind of help raise himself and to do things for himself because his mother at that time wasn't there. Now, they, of course, would one day have a good relationship, but especially for the poem's sake and where he's coming from in this is that because of his mom's addiction, he was having to do these things on his own. Funny it seems, but by keeping its dreams, it learned to breathe fresh air. By believing in his dreams, which also means himself, he was able not only to survive, but more importantly, to thrive, to do well by kind of holding on to these dreams, this idea of accomplishing. And he learned to breathe this fresh air. And again, despite the hardships of growing up, Tupac Shakur would have a successful career as a music artist and an actor. He stuck to his dreams of being an artist and made them come true. Again, this whole idea of learning to breathe fresh air. Long live the rose that grew from the concrete when no one else ever cared. He's urging the rose to live a long life, even without this support of growing up. So he's saying, okay, you've come this far, okay? You've come this far, make sure you do it right. Make sure you live this long life. Even if you didn't have the support, you don't forget where you came from, but at the same time, you've got to kind of move on and achieve these dreams. Tupac is saying that he's also doing this when, statistically, and if you look around at probably attitudes that people have, that this is something they didn't think he would be able to do. To basically live a long and successful and to an extent fulfilling life. And, again, that's not an easy thing to do when you come from a harsh environment. So long live the rose. In other words, long live the person. Now, unfortunately, in a kind of twist of tragic irony, Tupac Shakur would not live that long. He was murdered at the age of 25. He was unable to let go of some of the lifestyle violence that was in the music, and eventually it would cost him his life. And it's sad to know, but it doesn't really change the fact of the poem and its message. And truthfully, this poem was written before he became successful. So you can see the idea that he had for himself or for other children growing up in these environments that, hey, you can do it. And like I said, he may not have been able to apply it to himself as far as living a long life, but he did get out of the situations that kind of he was brought up in.
Become adults, have mercy and sympathy for everything from the animals to the whales to fur to everything except us, your youth, the ones who you've had given no attention to, who become adults with no compassion. You know what I mean? And I feel like if you walk by a street and you was walking on concrete and you saw a rose growing out of concrete, even if it had messed up petals and it was a little, to the side, you would marvel at just seeing a rose grow through concrete. So why is it that when you see some ghetto kid grow out of all of the dirtiest circumstances and he can talk and he can sit across from you, make you smile, make you cry, make you laugh, all you can talk about is my dirty rose, my dirty stems, and how I'm leaning crooked to the side. You can't even see that I came up out of that.
God bless the dead. That's right.
That's right.
God bless the dead.